So what I have are these stamps by Stampers Anonymous and these dies from Sizzix, and they're coordinating. This set actually works with two different stamp sets. I don't have the minis as of yet, but I do have this particular one. So what I'm going to recommend is that you use a solvent-based or permanent ink, something like the Color Fusion, which is a hybrid. It's got both pigment and dye-based, or the StazOn, which is a solvent-based ink to do this with. And when you're stamping, be sure and make sure that this is dry before you go to die cut, because these inks tend to stay, because of the pigment in them, they tend to stay wet longer, and you are working on a non-absorbent paper because this is Yupo. So when you're doing this, just be aware that it's going to take a little time to dry just because of the surface that you're working on. And the other thing to remember about this is that you are working on Yupo. So if I come with a heat tool on this, I have a chance of melting my paper. So if I want to heat this, I have to be very careful. I would recommend using this type of heat tool and not getting too close, and just stand off and gently go over it like this, because otherwise your paper is going to warp. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. I have a die here that's going to work with this, but I'm going to set it aside because I have some ready here that I'm going to run through my die cut machine, and I'll be back. So now I have flowers stamped and cut out, and I'm going to take this Pigma Micron pen. This is an 02, and because I don't have the image for this particular one, I'm thinking I'm just going to do my own image on here, because it's a few lines. If you look at the larger image, it's the petals, right? And these are small. So I'm just going to use a small marker and create on here something that mimics what was done on the larger flower. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're just giving the impression of petals. And who knows, maybe by the next time I do this I will have the actual stamp to do this with. But in the meanwhile, if you don't and you still want to use these die, nothing says you can't be creative and create your own little flower garden pieces here. Okay, so I'm happy with those. They look kind of like they're mom and papa petals here. And then the other thing that I'm thinking about doing is I want to pick up some other color. So I'm going to grab a few, I'm going to grab a few of my Copic markers, and I'm just going to see if I can highlight some of this in here. And alter my flower just a tad to get some, not really realistic, but add some brightness to the petals. And because coneflower, actually I'm doing this backwards, coneflower is typically white or purple. So I should pick up, this is a violet, this is a violet 17. I'm going to add a little bit of that violet in here on these petals. Be careful because it will move the other ink that's on there. And then I'm going to also hit this one with a little bit of violet. And some right in here. Actually, I think I'll get a little bit deeper color. This is a, what is this? B79. Iris, it says. Yeah, not so sure I like that one. That's a little bit too dark. Okay, so just going to hit the edge of this. And a little bit here. All right. And I want to take that back a notch because that got a little bit too dark. Okay. So what I have is I've created these backgrounds. And I'm thinking these are going to look lovely up against these backgrounds. I think I should do a whole coneflower. These are more like, see now I got two different kinds here. These go together really well. This and this. Maybe I should add one. This, 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 and this. Save those for something else. Then what I want to do is add some stems, mat these out, and then I'll show you the final project.